Welcome everybody to this beautiful session again with the Lighwarrior Collective. So happy to see so many of the familiar faces and to see new faces as well. Very grateful for you all being here. My name is Wouter. I'm your tech host for today. If you have any technical difficulty, please send me a direct message and I'll help you out as soon as possible. And for the further introduction, let's see if the internet of Inken is holding up. I would like to hand it over to our beautiful host, Inken.
Thank you so much, Martha. I'm sitting on my knees in the corridor right to the router because I just realized something happened to the internet. That's my family lives in a wonderful village, but the internet is not always stable. So forgive me this switch, but I'm here with you with all my heart. So my name is Inken. I'm happy to be part of the hosting team of the Lighwarrior Collective. We are really enjoying to be with you every Sunday at the same time and hold a safe space since more than 2.5 years. We almost reached 3 years, and I'm very proud of that. And I'm really proud of each member of the core team because really they work with their heart and their soul to make this happen for you. And we are extremely grateful for each participant that is long time with us because we have a lot of members that are with us a really long time. And each time we are excited to see new faces joining us and benefiting from this moment of self-care that is so important in these days, that we take the moment to slow down, we take the time for ourselves, and we take the time to just be. Especially be with people that are like-minded, that are in the same frequency and same mindset. So that together we co-create these kind of important moments for all of us. I passed our special guest several times, and I like her. She's such a beautiful soul with such a touching story, powerful story, and I always feel so glad to meet these inspiring people and follow their ways and their path, because it keeps me rising as well and tuning into this beautiful frequency. So Marcia, I'm really happy you are with us today, and I will hand it over to Jovial because she brought you into the Lighwarrior Collective basically and called you in to host this session today. I can't wait to do the session together with you, to have this time together with you. And I send you a big hug from Germany. And Jovial, I hand it over to you.
Thank you, Inken. Thank you everyone for joining us today, this beautiful Sunday. And today, like Inken mentioned, we have a very special guest that actually deeply touched my heart. So I will tell you a little story about how I know Marcia. So we met in one of the self-improvement program, actually provided by Yvonne. That's how I met you, Marcia, if you remember that. It was during the pandemic time when everybody is so frustrated, struggling about life. And we decided to sign up for this program, and we met each other during the program. And I remember one time you were sharing your life story. It really deeply touched my heart. So that's why I always have your name in my heart. And then that's how I stay connected with you. So today, I want to share with everyone about a beautiful woman here, Marcia, that she is a very inspiring person, and she did a lot of good work to help working women or individuals who actually make space for themselves, how to create joy and make sure your life is desired and deserved. And she actually told us that you need to recognize you are enough. So today's session is all about how you can recognize yourself that you are enough and remove all the self-doubt. And she will also present a beautiful poem for us that she just came out impromptu without any preparations. So that's what I like about her. She just can come up with ideas or things just like that. Presented Marcia here. Marcia, is all yours now. The floor is yours. So please join us today.
Thank you for the invitation, Jovial, and thank you for the warmth. It feels like I have been embraced by so many who have shown up for this. And I want to say thanks to each one of you. I see Silas smiling away because the accent is flowing. and he's enjoying it. Interestingly, this accent was a source of great self-doubt for me. I told myself that I would never be accepted outside of my island when speaking because I sound like this island girl, and who's going to listen to her? And that's, I think, the journey that so many of us are on. We know all of the things that make us feel a little bit shaky on our legs. And they often come from doubts that have been planted since childhood. They come from somebody telling us that we weren't smart enough, or we weren't bright enough, or maybe we were too bright and we needed to dim that smile. And that has become a big part of my journey of becoming and of helping other people to see that they are beautiful exactly as they are. That in your imperfection, that's what makes you worthy to serve somebody else and to touch somebody else. Because the person that I tend to trust most is the person who is not perfect, who is not curated, who is not always the one with the best makeup or the best clothes. It's the one who feels authentic, the one who has been through hurt. And therefore I feel safe because I know that if you've been hurt, my heart is safe with you. And that, I think, is what inspired me to start standing up and saying, here's who I am. Here's the mess that I am in so many ways. And let me tell you the story that's taken me from one mess into the next, because maybe you will spot a piece of your story in it. And that will let you know that somebody is holding space for you. And that even when you are walking a path and you feel that you are all by yourself, you are not, because somebody is one step ahead or one step behind. I think that, at least for me, that might come very, very close to what my purpose is here. To help others to see that they never had to show up as anything more than they were, and that even as any of us works toward that improvement that we are seeking, we still are enough. And that's why I chose to speak about that today. So I think that maybe the best way for me to start is to tell you a little bit about my personal story, since Jovial and Incan both sort of mentioned it. I'll tell you what the latest part of my story has been, and how I learned from somebody who nobody thought could teach. So the story actually is partly captured in that book over this shoulder, my right shoulder. It's called Lighting the Path, and that's a book that I wrote after about 7 years of learning from my daughter. And my daughter is brain injured and bedridden. She will be 11 years old next month. And it's been a life that has brought serious miracles my way and a lot of light and joy. So my daughter's name it's long. It's Emma Lucia Priscilla Balkissoon. The story of how Emma got her name is also a funny one. My son came up to me, he was 5 when she was born, and he said, "Mom, I know what her name should be. It must be Priscilla." And I'm like, some old-time name you want me to give to my child? So I said, that's a nice name, son. Let's write it down on this list. We're all going to just write lists. And then we'll choose, because I had no intention of choosing Priscilla. But I didn't want to tell him no. So the day came when she was born, and I decided Emma Lucia. Lucia means light. And Emma means universal. So universal light sounded like really a nice name. So it was supposed to be Emma Lucia Balkissoon. And he said, "I noticed you didn't name her Priscilla." So my husband is on the way to register the name. And he says, "Well, if you don't want to name her that, that's fine, but I'll be calling her Prissy for the rest of her life." So I felt sorry. And I called him up and I said, John, I want you to register as her middle name, Priscilla. And then I checked the name's meaning when he came back home with the registration. And Priscilla means universal. So it's ancient, it means ancient. Ancient universal light is the name that Emma has. And it's what we've come to really appreciate about her. So when Emma was 8 months old, she had been born with unexpectedly 4 problems in her heart. And here in Trinidad, which is in the Caribbean, we didn't have the technology or the capabilities surgically to do surgery to fix her problems when she was born. And we were told, well, you all just have to wait until she becomes critical. And whenever that happens, you'll have to get her to some other country and get surgery in a hurry. That happened when she was 8 months old. She suddenly went clammy and white, and her heart stopped giving her enough oxygen to her cells. So she was at risk for stroke and seizure. And so within a week, we flew out with her to the US. We did open heart surgery. And she successfully came through it, so that by that very night, she was breathing above the ventilator. So the ventilator was no longer keeping her alive because she was recovering so fast. And so in the middle of the night, the doctor said, we are going to extubate her. We're going to take her off the ventilator in the middle of the night. There's no extra crew around. You'll have to call out people if there's an emergency, but they insisted they had to do it then. And somehow, instead of extubating, they pulled out the tube from her heart and she bled out. So my daughter was 8 months old and flatlined. And they cracked her chest open, they put their hands on her heart, and they started to massage her heart and try to get this heart to start. And 20 minutes passed and she wasn't coming back. My prayer up until then, for the months that had come, had always been, Lord, help me to accept your will. Whatever it is, help me to accept it. But I sat there on the tile floor with the alarms going off and the flat line on the monitor. And I held my husband's hand and I said, Sean, the only thing I can think to do is pray. And then I said, Lord, forgive me, but I can't pray to accept your will. Give me back my child. And the minute I said it, the heart monitor started again. And Emma came back. But Emma came back having lost all of her senses and her ability to suck and swallow. And we were told by the doctors the next morning while she started seizing and so on, that she would be a vegetable for life. And that we should not hope for anything and we should withhold food and let her go. I can only say that I am grateful. Every single time I tell this story, I'm grateful that my husband has always been on the same page as I have. Neither of us ever entertained that statement when we were told it. When we were told, yeah, it's going to be uncomfortable for you, so, leave her to pass away or put her in a home and move on. Those things didn't occur to us to be real options, because I think we asked God for her back. And then when you say, I want her back, I didn't know I was praying for her to come back in a different way. I was praying for the exact same child. The child who had stood for the first time the day before surgery. And what I had gotten is a child who had lost the ability even to hold up her head, even to do anything like make a sound. So I was seeing her mouth open and she was screaming with everything she had. And tears were coming out of her eyes, but there was no sound. It was the worst horror movie that you could be in. But that child was our child. And sometimes when you know nothing about what step to take next, you're just broken, that's when you're more open. And so I couldn't come up with my brain. I'm an engineer, and my brain is my logical guide. But suddenly I didn't have that brain. And all I could lean on was intuition, which means God help me, God guide me. I have nothing to tell me what to do. I don't know how to keep my husband from crying. I don't know how to pretend anymore for my 5-year-old that everything is okay, because I was laughing and singing with him still. That's our job. But how do I hold space for this child? And how do I not listen to the statistics? Because the doctor said 0.1% of people ever recover from this point. So give up. And somehow the intuition, God just said, well, 0.1%, good. Your daughter can be 0.1%. Your daughter will be 0.1%. And so began the journey of showing up every day and just touching her. Not in the way that the medical people were touching her, like shoving probes into her and doing things to her, but saying, hi, baby, mommy's touching your face now. And I'm putting my finger in your mouth and I'm stroking your palate. And not having any therapy knowledge, but knowing the language of love. That's all. And that's the language that's encoded in our DNA. So just letting that language flow and not caring what anybody else said. So it took us about 3 months to get back to Trinidad. And we came back to Trinidad in January. There are horrendous things that we would have been told by medical people and so on that adds no value for me to share. So we just skip over those things. But what we learned to do was to just see this child as a human, which is something that we found that most therapy and medical people couldn't do. Because she was so hurt, people thought that she was subhuman, because they gave up all hope that she would ever do anything. And it took us about 4 years, but I went to do a music therapy course when she was about 4 years old. And you know those little plastic eggs that you use to make your Easter egg hunts? So I bought a bag full of those plastic eggs and I filled them with beans, with dal and with chana, and well, that's garbanzo beans for those who don't speak my particular brand of language. So red beans and so on. And I made these shakers with these little eggs. And I put her in her high chair. She's basically unable to move. So wherever I put her, she'll just flop. Put her in the high chair, strap her in, and I hold her there. And on the little eating table, I put 2 or 3 of the shakers and I say, shake, 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 shake. Let's sing, right? So I'm singing and I'm shaking, and then I stop. And she's smiling. But I stop and I say, well, that's the end. If you want more, you need to do it. And that day, my child moved her index finger 1 millimeter. It was the first movement she had ever made. But that's the power of her own belief in herself. That's the power of not doubting that you are able. That's not listening to the whole world around you tell you you'll never be able to, you'll always be less. You are somehow flawed and you are not enough. Because this little girl had all of the potential, and nobody was recognizing it. But she never doubted herself, and she never gave up. Yet still, I didn't receive that message. So she was teaching it to me, but teaching doesn't only happen when the teacher puts the message out. It happens when the learner receives. So my little teacher, Emma, was giving me patiently, year after year, messages. And I wasn't receiving them because I only could see how hurt she was. I only could feel how painful it was that all of my dreams had died, that everything I wanted to create for my son to have a better life than I did, for my daughter to be able to walk or talk or go to school or raise her head, I couldn't get her to do any of those things. And so to me, life looked dark. I pretended for everybody that I didn't feel like that. But if I'm honest, in myself, there was sadness. There was a lot of despair. So one morning I woke up at 6 a.m. and I'm in the bedroom next to her. My husband sleeps with her because he has to lift her and turn her all the time. She can't do anything herself. And I wake up and immediately I take the dark cloak that I put on myself and I put it on to myself. And that was the pour me yet another day of being the exact same, of living the same traumas, of the pain in my back and the struggle with M and the praying that she'll be okay, but poor me because this life is hard. And I did that. And I wasn't aware that this was how I was living my life, but it was. And so that was how I started the day yet again. for the 1200th time, right? 4 years into it. And while I'm doing this and burying myself in sadness and darkness and resentment and fear and all of those things, I hear the most melodious laugh weaving through my home. And it's Emma. Emma's laugh is just filling my house, because by then she had learned to make sounds, and laughing is her favorite thing. And there was a bird outside of her window, and that bird just lit her up, and she was like, thank you, Lord, for this beautiful day, and for this bird who is my friend. Thank you for the possibilities, and for the sun, and for Daddy that I love more than everybody else. And I sat there in my horrible, horrible space, and she cracked that shell open, and the learning finally came. And the learning was, Mommy, you think you've lost something? I'm the one who lost everything, and yet I never cry about it, because I've always been enough. I don't need your senses, and I don't need your abilities to be enough, because I came here as I am, and as I am is just enough. That's what I think my daughter's purpose is, to be a teacher. And that's why I refer to that book, Lighting the Path, as Emma's book. I've translated her language, and I've put her story in there. And it is one that says, forget about what anybody else judges you to be. And try to stop judging yourself. Just allow yourself to shine and open and be in flow. You never had to be perfect in the first place. That's, I think, where I should stop this story. So let me just pause this 1 minute, please. So this morning I woke up at 4 o'clock, and I don't know if you'll call it a poem, but something flowed, and I wrote it down on my notepad. It's as imperfect as a poem might be, I think, but I'm going to read it to you because I think this came to be a part of this message. I named it after I wrote it, Journeying Onward. How long have you sought someone to tell you you're worthy? How long have you longed for an accepting embrace? I know you understand so well the loneliness of this journey that is life. Were you always alone, friend? Did you always feel othered? When did you become ousted from the embrace of another? Who first told you you're worthless, so brash or so common? Who convinced you to listen as they cut you anew, hun? Even from childhood, you let people plant seeds that sprouted doubt, fear, despair in your heart and your head. Unknowing they watered, unknowing you ate fruit after fruit from those plants on your plate. But those fruits had no place filling up your head, hand, and heart. And all of their poison, it is time now to shed. Your transcendent beauty is untouched. Don't you worry. It's time to heal your own self in divine timing. No hurry. Your hurt inner child longs so much for acceptance, wants to hear she is special and treated with reverence. She wants to forget how it felt to be flayed by hands or by words that still torment her days. Here's the wonderful truth that I'm happy to share. You are the one to heal it all right here. You're the one who should gather your inner child close and tell her you treasure her beauty the most. You know that child best, for you were once that child, and now you're the adult who carries the hurt child inside. There's nobody better suited to celebrate the shine and the hope and the promise of that once innocent child. So get down on your knee, look into her eyes, and acknowledge the beauty that she shines from inside. Tell her there's no need to doubt or to fear, because with you, she is safe, and you hold her dear. As you make it safe for your inner child friend, may you rest in the knowing that for you all is well. More challenges will come and stimulate self-discovery, but just trust and rest easy. You're enough for the journey. That's it. I hope somewhere in those words you found something that helps you with whatever you are challenged by. I haven't planned any of these things. I'm just letting it flow. But the last thing I'd like to do is to take you on a transcendental meditation. So it's a transmutation meditation. And all you need to do is sit nice and straight, be comfortable, rest your feet on the floor if you can, and rest your hands on your lap. You can close your eyes when you feel it's right. And just relax. Let your stress go. Move your shoulders, move your feet, wiggle your hips until you feel nice and settled. And feel your strain just releasing off your body and soaking into the earth the way water soaks into the earth. the earth soaks up all your strain and cleans it and will send you back nice, clean, healing, light energy. For this meditation, we are standing just at the top of a flight of stairs. And before we go down the stairs, we take a few deep breaths. Take a nice deep breath in and let it fill up your lungs and flow all the way down into your belly. Hold it for a minute and then breathe out when you are ready. Expelling the stress and the toxins. Breathe in hope and light and support and love. Hold it and let it flow into your cells. And breathe out again. You are at the top of a flight of 7 stairs. And you are going to step onto the first stair. Step onto step 1. Feel that step under your feet. Step 2. Listen to the sound of your feet as you go down. Step 3. Step 4. Step 5. Feel your feet. Step 6. And now the last step, step 7. You are right at the top of a corridor. And opposite you, there's a bright yellow door. You don't look inside this door, but you do hold the handle and crack it open just a bit. And then you turn to your right and you start walking along the corridor. At the end of a corridor, there's an elevator. You press the button and the elevator opens. This elevator has a light blue healing light inside, and you step in and feel that light wash over you and embrace you. As the elevator closes, you press the level 1 to go down 1 level, and the elevator takes you down. It dings and opens, and you step out. In front of you is a huge metal door that's worked in all sorts of patterns. Beautiful shapes are etched in the wrought iron pattern. And you take a minute to look at what your pattern looks like on these doors. You reach out your hand and you touch and you trace and you smile and you soak it in. And then you are ready. You push the doors open and you step into a large open room. There's a single chair in the middle of the room, and an old person is sitting in that chair. This person stands up and smiles at you and beckons you over. And you take the chair that is offered. You allow this person put their hand on your head And this person's love just radiates through you. Tells you that you are loved and accepted and perfect in this person's eyes, all without a single word being said. The old person ministers to you, and you feel their healing love and light flowing into your head and filling up your head, putting your overactive thoughts to rest, making their way one vertebra at a time down your spine, aligning you, maxing out your communication with your body, taking away your pain and your strain. And you feel healing going into all parts of your body. Feel that energy as it trips down your spine. Feel it now. Feel that energy when I count to 3, moving from your spine and out along every single bone in your body. 1, 2, 3. Feel it now. And when I count to 3, feel that energy going into every single cell with the most delicious zing and warmth. 1, 2, 3. Feel it going into your cells. Breathe deeply. Feel all of the love and joy and support that surrounds you because you are in the middle of a vortex of love and protection and support. You sense that your friend is removing his hands from your head. And when he does, you stand. And you turn to your friend and share a smile. And you thank him. And you look to the other end of the room where another door is waiting for you. You walk to that door and you take in the patterns on this door. You take in the material that this door is made of. You take in the beauty that's set in there just for you. And when you are ready, you push open that door and you step out and find yourself in a beautiful garden. There are trees from a place that you have longed to belong. You've missed this place. You've wanted to go back for so long. And now here it is. And so you just stand and turn around in a slow circle. And your eyes greedily take in every sense of belonging, every flower and every weed, every leaf and every stone. And you just enjoy being a part of this place. In the center of the garden, there's a big tree, the most humongous tree you have ever seen. And this tree's energy is pulsating and calling to you. And you walk over to the tree and you sit, cross-legged with your back against its trunk. And you just rest there. And you feel more healing happening. You feel years of pain sloughing away. You feel the energy just wrapping around you and saying you're safe today. And you belong. And you are loved. And then you get into a nice quiet space within yourself. And you feel that the healing that's happening is letting your apathy soak away from you. The tree's roots are pulling that apathy out. It's pulling your self-doubt out. It's pulling your anger and your rage out. It's pulling the pain that you've been carrying for too long out. Whatever you are ready to release, it helps you to release. And you know that when you are ready to release more, there'll be more opportunities. So you just let it be. There's no worrying. There's no strain. You take a deep breath. And just as you released all of the negative things, the tree sends positive energy back up to you to refill you, to fill the space that's now empty with what you need right now. And one single message flows into you. Just pay attention, just be at ease and receive your message. Repeat it to yourself. Take your message in whatever form and place it somewhere in your body. You know where that place is. Set it there, and it will be there for you anytime you need it. As your time there draws to an end, you straighten and you stand. You wrap your arms around the tree and you are comforted one last time. Then you turn and you go back to your door. Open the door. Enjoy the workings on the door if you want. Securely close the door quietly. Smile at your old friend and thank them again. Make your way to the metal wrought iron door. Touch all of the workings. Discover new patterns that have even more meaning for you. Pull open those doors and step out, closing the doors behind you. In front of you, the elevator stands open. So you step into its blue light. The doors close. And you press the button to go right back up one floor. The doors ding open. And you step out at the end of the corridor. You feel lighter than when you entered. And you skip your way back down the corridor. So hopeful, so joyful, so youthful. When you get to the base of the steps, you gently close the yellow door at your right, and you turn to your left and step onto the 7th step. Feel your feet as you press onto the concrete of the steps. Step up to step 6. Step 5, feel your feet. Step 4, listen to the shoes as they touch the floor. Step 3. Step 2, light is all around you. And as you step onto the last step, step 1, you've re-entered the regular world, the usual world that you live in. And when you're ready, you open your eyes and you come back.